every time I go onto TikTok and I see a video which is like top 5 thriller recommendations or thrillers that are 5 stars, this book always comes up, and that is The Only One Left by Riley Sager. Apparently the ending is brilliant. Apparently it's really satisfying, and I've been putting it off for months. I think I've had this book on my shelf since November, and the amount of videos I've seen recently of it, I want to start it now. So I will be vlogging my thoughts throughout the whole book. On the back of the book it says, everyone believes that Lenora Hope is a mass murderer. When the Hope family was massacred decades ago, she was the only one left alive after that tragic night. Mute, paralysed and confined to a wheelchair, Lenora has never been able to tell her side of the story. Until her new living caregiver Kit brings her a typewriter, and with one working finger, Lenora begins to type, "I want to tell you everything." So I'm guessing it's going to be a bit of a slow thriller with a big reveal at the end. That's my initial thoughts, but let's get into the book. I'm sorry about the background, it's a bit of a mess. I had posters on the wall and then I had to take them down because we're moving out, and the blue tack ripped everything off. And then I had like little clips that hold LED lights in place, and they said on the packaging that it doesn't rip off wallpaper, but it did in fact rip off the wallpaper. So, but anyway, let's get started. Just finished chapter 1. Pretty good so far. Already want to know what happened, so I will be continuing with it. Not that I've ever not finished a book. I won't be recording me reading the entire way through, so I will just be like cutting in and out with where I'm at, and then like little clips of me reading. I don't want to make this video like 3 hours long because nobody will watch it. But yeah, I don't know if it's just me, but I've just reached chapter 5. I'm getting kind of Verity vibes. It's probably going to be nothing like that, but that's what I'm getting at the moment. I enjoyed Verity actually, it was pretty good. But we'll see. So my first predictions of the book is that Kit isn't a very good person, because she just admitted to lying to the housekeeper about her previous patient, and I'm guessing that it wasn't a suicide and that she did it on purpose, like she left the pills out on purpose. And my second prediction is that the housekeeper's dodgy and had something to do with the murders. Has it said how old the housekeeper is? I'm pretty sure it mentioned briefly that she was an older lady, but I don't think Lenora Hope did it, and the housekeeper is giving off weird vibes at the moment, but I am only on chapter 5, so I'm probably going to be completely wrong. I've just gone back in the book to try and find out how old the housekeeper is, and it says, if I had to guess, I'd say 75, knowing I could be off by at least 10 years in either direction. So she's between 65 and 85, which is roughly the same age as Lenora Hope. So my prediction now is that the housekeeper... Is this going to be a bit too far-fetched? That the housekeeper is Lenora Hope and that the woman she's taking care of is just some random woman? Does that make sense? No, I feel like that would be too stupid. Surely. But the housekeeper's definitely dodgy. I said it. There we go. I said it. I would like to take back everything I've just said because I realised that there are photos of Lenora Hope around the house. So she can't be the housemaid. Because Kit would realise that. But I still think the housemaid is up to something and has a bigger part in this story. But I don't think she's Lenora Hope anymore. I've just realised. I now understand why she lied about her old patient. Maybe she's not the villain after all. Yeah, chapter 8. It's taken... My dog's barking. It's taken me a rather long time to get through it, but I do want to take my time with this book. Oh my god, he's just getting louder and louder. I saw that with Mary coming a mile off, I'm not gonna lie. Not once did I think that she had run away. Yeah. Predicted it as soon as they mentioned that she had left with all of her stuff still being in the bedroom. If this book is supernatural, I'm gonna be rather annoyed. I know it's probably not gonna be. And I haven't heard anyone mention that it is. But it's not what I was expecting. And I'm just going to be annoyed if it is because they've already mentioned ghosts multiple times. And I really hope it's not. Something's definitely up with the housekeeper though. Suspicious. Why is she lying? Oh, I've just lost my page. Why is she lying? I'm so confused. Why is she lying? I've seriously lost my page. Okay, there we go. Why is she lying to the... Why is she lying to the detective? That's suspicious. Is it her that's walking around? Okay, so if her writing on the typewriter needs to be a secret, who moved the papers? Because she went to look for the text that Lenora had already written out, typed out, and it wasn't on the side. So who moved it? Did Lenora move it? Did the housekeeper move it? Did the cook move it? I don't know. I really don't know. But something dodgy's going on and they keep bringing up the sister. But she's dead. So, I don't know what's going on. I ended up getting to chapter 21 and I'm going to bed. But my final thoughts for today are that because of the papers being moved around, I think Lenora's faking this. I'm not gonna lie. It's either not Lenora Hope and it's the sister, or it is Lenora Hope and she is faking everything, which I really hope isn't the case. I think that would ruin the book for me because I think that's a bit unoriginal. We will see. But I'm gonna go to sleep and I will finish this hopefully tomorrow. I've just got home from work and I'm going to continue with the book. I'm pretty sure I said what my thoughts were last night, but what I'm hoping for is that it's not the twist. I'm hoping the twist isn't that Lenora Hope is faking her strokes and like her inability to move. I really hope that's not the case. I really hope it's something more than that because that feels kind of lame and kind of boring. So, fingers crossed. I've literally been thinking about it all day today because I have had nothing else to do at work. It's been that boring. So I'm not really sure. We will see. I'm just under halfway through. Yeah, just under halfway through. And hopefully I'll be able to finish it. No, I probably won't be able to finish it today. Hopefully I'll be able to finish it by tomorrow. I'm confused because if I was trying to get a story out of some woman that can't speak, and I found out a certain piece of information, I wouldn't then go and start accusing her and like being like, oh, we need to talk about this. Just let her do it in her own time. Because if Mary died knowing about the baby, surely that's a red flag. Like, would you not think, oh, I need to be quiet about this? Like, I need to pretend like I don't know anything. Why is she just barged into the room being like, we need to talk about the baby? Just let her do it in her own time, whether she tells you or not. Like, the last 2 lines of this chapter say, Lenora turned it off herself with a hand she can't use. What did I say 3 minutes ago? I really hope she's not faking it. It's okay, I'm going to power through. I'm not going to give up because it's what I wanted, it's what I didn't want to happen, because I want to know why she's doing it and what actually happened to the family. So I am going to continue with it, but I'm annoyed. I'm annoyed that that was the twist. To be fair, it may not be the twist. Like, she could have somehow, some other way turned the Walkman off, but I don't know. The ending of this book was ridiculous. I enjoyed probably 70% of the book. I enjoyed the writing, like the descriptions and the kind of eeriness in the house, and I genuinely enjoyed the not knowing what was going on. I did hate, however, finding out what was going on. I've made some notes. The ending itself, like, I think it was the epilogue or like the very last chapter, when she can walk, she can leave the house. You're telling me she spent 50 years in that bed trying to get revenge on her sister, but all she's doing is having a nurse wipe her ass and clean her. How is that getting revenge on her sister? The real Lenora could have just left at any time. Why didn't she? Looking at other people's reviews, there are so many plot holes in this, which I didn't realise until I went back to the reviews and had a look at myself. And reading them, it all just kind of, I'm like, what? Yeah, this makes sense. The first one is that Jessie tells Kit that Mary was the only person to know about the typewriter. But when Kit first starts at the house, Mrs. Baker tells Kit that Mary brought the typewriter. So also Mrs. Baker knows about it. So it wasn't just Mary that knows. And also Jessie knows. Lenora is pregnant. The whole thing was that Lenora's pregnant and wants to find her son, or like Kit wants to know what happened to the son. Lenora is pregnant, which is shown in the photo, but the family doesn't know. She's very obviously pregnant in the photo, but she was still able to hide it from her family for that long. How does that make sense? The next one, the detective worked at the house, which Kit said to him, oh, you used to work here, didn't you? He used to work at the house, but didn't recognise Mrs. Baker. Didn't think Mrs. Baker and Lenora looked familiar. I know it said in the book that they didn't look alike or whatever, had different coloured eyes or whatever, but if you knew them growing up, you're telling me you didn't recognise them at all? Or if you were in charge of the case or were involved in the case, you didn't recognise the two girls and didn't think, oh, Mrs. Baker looks familiar? Oh, Lenora looks a little bit like Virginia. Lenora doesn't look like Lenora anymore. If you knew Lenora as a child, surely you would have some idea of what she looked like as an old lady, or seeing her growing up, you know what I mean? Next one. Why did Mary go to Ricky's house if she already had the blood from Virginia? Why? That's all she needs, right? A comparison with Virginia's and, what's his name? Carter? Was it Carter? Yeah, you don't need the dads. All he wanted to know was that if he was related to Lenora. So why do you need the dad's blood? Last thing that I didn't understand personally was why Ricky then ran into the house as it was collapsing into the sea after he just tried to kill Virginia. What was the point? He just spent, like, the whole point of him running into the house was so he could kill her or whatever. But then he just kills himself and Virginia survives. I'm currently editing this, and I also wanted to say, because I missed it when I was recording, that it makes it seem like Ricky only just found out that Virginia was alive when Kit calls him to, like, go home. But Ricky knew the entire time because he got the suitcase from Mary. So why did he wait until that last minute to go and try and kill Virginia when he knew the entire time she was alive? And then for just to accidentally leave the suitcase on the bed, or as soon as Kit realises that her dad is Ricky instead of Patrick. Yeah, no, it just didn't make sense. I was really enjoying this book up until like the 70% mark, and then it just became absolutely ridiculous. And I know thrillers are supposed to be a bit like out there, but there was too much nonsense at the end of this for me. And if you don't think about the plot holes, the story's okay until the end. I think the fact that she was able to walk this entire time was ridiculous. And I even said at the start of the video, like, if that's the case, it's going to ruin the book for me. It wasn't just that ruined the book. It was all this, like, plot holes, like, stuff that doesn't make sense. Yeah, I think if she'd have just, I don't know, I also don't understand why Kit was so, like, trusting of Lenora / Virginia's word. Like, why is she just believing this woman? She could be lying for all you know. You've known her a day. And also, why is Lenora giving her all this information? She's been like that for 50 years. Why now? Just didn't make sense. Also, I thought this while I was reading. Because Kit made such a big point of looking at the portraits as she was going around the house, would she not look at the portrait and think, wow, that looks a bit like Miss Baker? No, she didn't. That didn't click. No. I know they're like 50 years old, 60 years older than what they were in the photos or whatever, but people still generally look like they have some sort of recognition when they get older. You know, people, especially when, I don't understand if they were like 8 in the photos, but I'm pretty sure they were like 16 to 18. Nobody changes that much when they get older. Like, you can still kind of see what they used to look like in their face, you know what I mean? Just didn't add up. I knew Mrs. Baker was dodgy from the beginning, and I have to say I didn't see that plot twist come in. Like, I knew Mrs. Baker was dodgy, but I didn't think she was actually Lenora. Like, that didn't click for me up until that point. But I still think it's a bit stupid. And the whole thing with her being able to, and Jessie being her granddaughter, and taking her off to France, I just thought it was a bit too much. Like, I don't mind thrillers having a little bit of unrealistic parts in, so obviously that's what makes it a thriller, like. But I do like aspects of reality in the book. I think it because it was so outlandish and just not believable in every aspect of the ending. That's what ruined it. I'm sorry. I know people really like this book and I really wish I had enjoyed it as well. 2 stars I will give this book. I did originally give it 3, and then I was looking at all the reviews with all the plot holes and thinking about it, I've dropped it down to 2, which is a shame because I really thought I was going to enjoy this one. It was quite a long read as well. Like, the book itself is quite short, but the text is tiny. So I think it took me about 4 or 5 days to get through it fully. Yeah, and I was just super disappointed with the ending, which is annoying because everybody hypes this book up. Definitely won't be reading it again, and I probably won't pick up any other Riley Sager book, which again is a shame, but apparently this is his best one, so I dread to think what the others are like. But yeah, that's all for this video. Sorry, it's a bit disappointing. Yeah, comment what your thoughts were on the book down below. I would love to know if people enjoyed it, if people hated it, and if people hated it for the same reasons that I hated it, or if there were other things that I missed. But yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.